I'm Bob Gourley here with two OODA Network experts, Dave Ackerman and Junaid Islam. We're going to talk about RSA 2024. Junaid, what do you think of RSA?
I think it's a great opportunity to see a lot of not only established companies, but also startups doing really important things because security and cybersecurity is really important. People are stealing your data. But the one thing I'd really caution people before they go and look at something that's really cool, take time, even if it's on the flight down, to really think about how does your company handle data? Because what's really being stolen in ransomware is the data. So think through, how does the company handle the data? How are you doing your sales process? How are you doing your customer orders? If you're in manufacturing, what's your back-end system? If you have a supply chain, how's the data going out to your supply chain partners? How do they respond back to you? If you have hosted compute processes, are remote people connecting in? Understand your process model first before you start looking at products. And I think you'll find the RSA conference way more useful when you know exactly what you're looking for.
Dave, what lens do you use to look at the RSA conference and how to make use of it?
Unsurprisingly, it's similar to Junaid, but different. I can't even spell RSA half the time. So you start with the why. Why are you going there? I know people that go to that conference simply because they've been going for so many years and they just love reconnecting with friends. And they're not really there to learn. They're there for the mingling and the camaraderie, which is perfectly fine. And for a lot of other companies, start with the why. What are your gaps? Be honest with yourselves. If you're in the early days of your process of understanding where your gaps are, then be honest with that, and then try to focus in on how are you going to get the most value, not just out of the booths and learning from the different companies that are there, but out of your time, right? So and also I would say use the conference date as a way to push your team. So if you're in the early stages of, let's say, an audit, try to get that audit done in time such that the result of that audit are going to be valuable to you to see what kind of technology is available to address your needs or to address your gaps. I know a lot of firms that in this day and age, they still don't even know what's on their estate. So even that mindset will help you look through the hundreds of different booths and try to figure out, okay, I've got 1,440 minutes in a day. I need to sleep a couple hours of that. Who am I going to see?
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good guidance. I want to ask both of you guys this. Dave, you made me think. I'm a bit of a technologist, and I think, all right, if I'm going to add value to the OODA network, our 300 members, I'm going to find something new for them. I want to find a new company or a company that has some new technology that could be, in a very positive way, disruptive to our members. So I want to hit the expo floor. Well, there's 535 companies on the RSA expo floor. Why is there so few? That's as many as they can cram into the largest conference center in San Francisco. Well, you can't really spend time with 535 companies. It's just impossible. So what's a good method for finding the companies that are going to fit the criteria of being positive and disruptive and worthy of my time to investigate, to tell others about? Thoughts on that?
So the cool thing about the OODA network, and one of the reasons I'm most proud to be a part of it, is you're full, you're with people who could see around corners just as you do. So one of the things that we do the most as a group is try to see around those corners and shine a light on it so that leaders and technologists can start focusing in on that. Well, let's take that to the next step. So Bob, if you're there, what I would hope for is take some of the things that we've opined on over the last few weeks and months and see, well, what is the cure for that? What are the technologies that are out there that are being developed that address some of these things that we potentially see coming that maybe somebody else doesn't? And it's not always going to be the big companies with the massive R&D budget. Sometimes it's going to be the small shops that are great engineers but don't necessarily understand how to market their product the right way. So I think the most value that we would be able to get is let's leverage the foresight that a lot of us have been bringing to the table and then see like, okay, well, now what can we do about it?
Very good point. Junaid?
So one of the things I'm looking for personally at RSA is the number of companies that are now introducing AI. As all of you know, security is very complex, even with highly trained people. And there's a number of startups that have generated AI models, for example, to look at logs on an automated fashion. There are startups that now have AI-based firewalls and application layer gateways. And these are all kind of really interesting things, because one of the problems we have in security is there's so many events and there's so many open ports. There's so much complexity in a hybrid data center cloud environment. Even with the best of tools, it's difficult to do all that work. So I think there's going to be a lot of new AI, but I think before we jump to that AI piece, which is my personal interest, know what your company is doing, understand your process model, understand how the data is flowing through that model. Then when you go see the products and then you see them using the AI, at least you have some context on, is it going to identify vulnerability? Is it going to save time? And most important, is it going to reduce risk? So that's the one thing I'd want people to think about. And certainly I'm going to look for that, because as a security person, I've made a lot of mistakes. So if I can use AI to reduce risk, I'm going to do that as well.
Cool.
Bob, I want to throw that question back to you then. So I've always had this theory that more data is being created and collected today than ever before in human history. And the law of economics says that the more you have of something, the less valuable it becomes. So if data is becoming less valuable, then what are you looking for as a person who's been going to this conference for years and knows a lot of the people and knows a lot of the players? Like, what should people be looking for that they're normally not?
One thing I believe we should all be looking for is new hardware. And all the hardware we have, like in the network layer, I look for innovation there, but I see things that were designed 40 years ago. And the computer architecture itself, I see mouse, monitor, keyboard, a CPU on the desktop. In the servers, I see a CPU with circuit boards and fans to cool it. I'm looking for new architectures. Now, NVIDIA has new architectures, including a new chip they just announced called a Blackwell, 500 times more powerful than their previous extremely powerful AI chip. Will we see solutions built on that new architecture? Are there new hardware companies that are fielding things into the network layer? Could those give us new potential disruptive capabilities? So that's what I'll be looking for.
Very cool.
And I guess one other thing I want to mention that I hope both of you guys will join us at is the OODA Network is coming together on Wednesday the 8th during RSA week to kind of gather our heads and sync up, and all of us can exchange real-time thoughts on what is interesting on the expo floor or what the interesting presentations were. I hope to see you and everybody else there as well.
Thanks for listening to this OODA Loop production. For the latest analysis on cybersecurity, technology, and global risks, please visit www.oodaloop.com.